Hello, this is Arcosm, ARCOSM. This is Circles of the Arc YouTube channel, and this is your host Randall Prosser and guest host Miles. We're going to be getting into a fascinating one this time. This time we're going to be taking it off with the Book of Ezekiel. Relative to our last podcast, when we were going into different mannerisms of social dynamics and interactions, and now we're going to be getting into the more mystical side of things through the Book of Ezekiel, and I'm going to be kicking it off with a little read from there and kind of edifying and revealing some things about this. But before we do so, hi Miles, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Really looking forward to this one. Diving into Ezekiel sounds like a trip. I'm ready when you are.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, you mind if I kick it off then?
Go for it. The floor is yours.
Okay, I'm going to take a little read from that, and then I'm going to kind of interpret and share some things first.
I'm locked in. Take your time. I'm just vibing and listening.
Okay.
I'm with you.
Now it came to pass in the 13th year. Now I'm going to reiterate in between some of the reading. The 13th year, in this interpretation to what is the spirit that is shared to me, is the 13th aeon, the 12 zodiacal signs, and the 13th aeon, or the 13 repentances of Pisces Sophia, or the 13th year symbolically. And in the fourth month, or the fourth layer, and the fifth day, or say the four worlds of the tree of life, and the hidden fifth one, Adam Kadmon, the man that sitteth upon the throne of the whole tree of life, of the month. And I was among the captives by the river Shibar. So you could say by the Sphira that go up and down, the 10 Sephiroth that goes up and down the tree of life, or the two sides, or the rivers on either side of the tree of life, or the river in the middle. So severity, mercy, and balance, the river Shibar symbolically, that the heavens were opened, and I saw the visions of God. And in the fifth day of the month, which was the fifth year of King Jehoiachin's captivity, the word of the Lord came expressly upon Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzai, in the land of the Chaldeans, by the river Shibar, and the hand of the Lord was there upon him. Now, mind you, Ezekiel, in its 365th year, became the angel Metatron, or even the angel of the Lord, or even say what Christ has called himself and alluded to many times when he says he'll be on the right hand of God coming out of the clouds, as the Son of Man. And we're all the Son of Man in that sense. He's the first among many, and the rest are made in his image. And thereby, when we become one with the unbounded light, we're made expressly in its image, as the form of the unbounded light, just as he is. So when we ascend up in the place of Peniel and meet with the Lord, or the unbounded essence of the Christos, or the Ein Sof, we are also the Son of Men, or the Israelites, or we're even, say, the Jews or the chosen, but not in the physiological sense when people are warring amidst nations in a horizon. I mean in the most mystical sense, within the spirit of man and the hero's journey and the salvation story through the vertical path within the soul, one with the oversoul, or the small faces as avatars within vast face, or the unbounded essence. So in that sense, when it becomes one with itself and it sees its own nature in the mirror of the mind of the all, then that becomes what we are as the Son of Man, made in the image of God. So in that sense, Ezekiel in all these stories is an allegory of us. All these stories, say the four levels of Torah interpretation, from the secret of like narratives and histories, so like all nouns, person, places, and things, and the verbs and interactions between those nouns of thoughts, words, and deeds, and the synesthetic interactions and relationships between all things. And then from the secret you have symbol. It symbolizes something. There is a structure through which all these happenings happen throughout, and is projected and is a hologram throughout, and that structure in the periphery, when unwrapped, is allegorizing something in the third level of Torah interpretation, and in its fourth level is the hint, the aha, the simple, the I get it. And all those four levels of Torah interpretation is the same as any spiritual text. It's alluding to the same process, that all the things in the physical world is not representing anything in the physical world, not a dot or a tittle. Every piece of it is representing the upper worlds and the journey within the soul of man, within the oversoul, and the alignment back to its source. So the Son of Man is indeed us, and so is all these characters, all the 12 disciples, all the apostles, the Christos himself, who first among many have ascended up through the 13 aeons of Pistis Sophia to align us back to God, but he guided us. So that being that God came in the flesh to align us, we couldn't align each other while being blind to see God. So then us, having to be students, had to be taught, and then once we're taught, we can teach. But the one who is self-sustaining and whom doesn't have a creator in its own right, because God's body sustains itself, so it is the teacher in itself, the teacher, and it receives all its creations, but it doesn't need to teach itself except through itself, who learn by receiving that which is bestowed through the unbounded self-sustaining body of God, or the unbounded essence of the Almighty, the Most High, or the Ein Sof, or the limitless light of the Christos. But it had to come in the flesh, and that means compared to other animals and creatures, they don't know how to self-reflect on themselves in that way. There's animals, say there's the elementals, the 4 cardinal forms, so all the 9 mineral mirrors of the tree of life, and then you have the carbon-based life forms, and then in the elementals, and then you have the 2nd cardinal forms of all like flora and fauna, all insects that go with that and are also in symbiosis with the habitation. And then you have and it's one with its instincts. Then you have animals and creatures, which are one with its emotional brain, but it doesn't reflect on itself through its neocortex. And then you have the 4th cardinal form, human forms, any human-like form. And then the human-like form can reflect upon all of its creation, also receive the total nature of itself, and thereby by receiving the full nature of itself, also heals and gives grace to all the other cardinal forms, but it's the only vessel that could receive the full nature of itself in potential. So then God had to come in the flesh in its perfect image in man, so that the rest of mankind and all cardinal forms and the rest of creation could receive himself and receive the grace and fulfillment of the law of God through grace. And by its unfolding that we're living now could be received through us, in whom he's the first among many, and we're also the Son of Man in these allegories. So in that sense, he had to come through the vessel in himself, in whom could receive the nature of himself and reflect upon himself in this way. So that's why it says God came as the Son of Man, because man is the image of the vessel that is actually able to receive its nature in its totality, but not all at once and not without him doing so. So God had to show us so that we could reflect to the rest of creation and thereby harmonize that which he has set forth to balance in his loving kindness, and to have a harmony in this world and in the next, in the new heavens and new earths, and all the promises of God and the reunion with our ancestors and guides and loved ones. But for all that to happen, one had to be able to receive it. So it had to be received in a vessel that was able to receive it for the rest of creation. So the Son of Man aptly is the most wonderful symbol and vessel that was actually able to receive of itself the nature of itself when mirroring and reflecting and gazing upon itself. So that's why, say, Christ has alluded to himself many times more than the Savior, calling himself the Savior or the Mashiach. He's even referred to himself more times than not as himself as the Son of Man, and that means also us, made in the image too, in whom he's first among many. So in that way, in this allegorical sense, say Ezekiel, which is representing in the story who becomes the angel of the Lord and also becomes, or the Metatron or Matatron, or the lesser Jehovah or scribe of God, one with the greater Jehovah. And it's not 2 gods. There are 2 aspects of God, one that is unified, one that is divided, one that receives itself and scribes itself, and the angel of the Lord that's guiding itself. And in its 365th year, Ezekiel became the Son of Man, and Christ has alluded to himself as the Son of Man, as first among many. And so that allegory is aptly representing us when we connect with the Lord, or the unbounded essence, or the Ein Sof, or the Christos. So this whole story is actually, as any story that's alluding to the process that we're living, is reflecting us. It's actually showing us the process of what it takes to become aware of oneself. So it's expressing it in a narrative.
That's a wild connection. Turning the prophet Ezekiel into Metatron really changes the scale of the whole narrative. It's like moving from a human witness to someone who's actually part of the celestial machinery.
Exactly. It's not just, say, a greater Yehovah or a greater Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh and a lesser. There's not two separate gods. There's, say, it's not like, it's polymathic. There's many layers, but it's not polytheism. It's panentheism. It's panentheistic layers, or layers of a one monotheistic God, and these layers are the machinery of its living body through all its inhabitants, which are reflecting upon itself and able to ascend within itself through itself. But in order to do so, it represents itself through a narrative, or the scribe of God reflects all this in the process. Another allegory, a synonym to the scribe of God in the many cultures, or say the cosmic creators or the systems of the gods, which represent all different layers of one God. But in that essence, there are not many paths. The Christos is showing that these many paths, ways, or different cultures. The scribe of God, for example, could be, say, Hermes Trismegistus, thrice great. He could be Thoth. He could be represented as the Son of Man. He could be represented as the one who is the scribe of God, who is for all cultures. But in that essence, all this is an allegory of one's own being. These are not outward forces. These are representations of an inward process. But in that way, Christ is the path. Jesus Christ is the Lord and Savior. But He is one with us because He made it possible for us to be one with Him by taking on the vessel of ourselves, so that we can receive of Himself that which Himself has seen in all His creation. And all His creation couldn't receive it unless He received it and showed them and bestowed this upon a vessel that was able to aptly receive this as such. So it's not talking about many layers of separate gods. They're actually just one. Say with Ezekiel, or the lesser Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, or greater, or the Tetragrammaton, it's not separate. These are different aspects, like the scribe of God and the angel of the Lord, the thing that projects and the thing that reflects and transmits and receives. This is an aspect to show us the way, but it's expressing it through a narrative. And if you're receptive, you'll receive it and you'll know what it means. If you're not, you might overlook it. But that's all part of it. It's like a hidden treasure in plain sight. But this is what we all are.
Like, that's a dope way to frame it. It's like looking at a prism. You see all these different colors and paths, but at the end of the day, it's all just one single beam of light. Reframing these figures not as separate deities, but as different frequencies or masks of the same singular consciousness makes the whole thing feel way more like an internal map than a history lesson.
Yeah,
precisely. It takes it to a mirror, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Exactly. It takes it from being a story about people who lived thousands of years ago to being for what's happening inside of you right now. If everything is an allegory for the internal process, then the heavens opening isn't some external event. It's a shift in awareness. It's like a light switch flipping in the mind.
Yeah, exactly. Would you mind if I read a little further and kind of go on with this now, since this was already shared and went over in my other podcast, but I'm kind of like recapping, rebriefing us. Not like it's necessarily needed, but the Spirit is kind of guiding me to do so. So I'm rebriefing, any of the viewers and whom's receiving this anyway, nonetheless. But before I go on, do you mind if I read a little further and kind of go on in the manner that I'm sharing so far?
I'm all for it. Keep that flow going. I'm curious to see where the Spirit takes this and how it connects back to that internal map. Go ahead.
Okay. So now when you're reading Ezekiel and he's speaking as I am connecting with the Lord, it means like you. It means Him, but it also means like the part of you that understands who's receiving this. It's you also. So in that token, he says, "And I looked and beheld a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it. And out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire." So amber, like the color of fire, but it's also like a light, and then it has a rainbow around about it, within itself, enfolding itself. And he looked, in that whirlwind, the 7 layers, is kind of like, say, you have the 4 worlds of the Tree of Life, the multiverse, you have the intergalactic systems, the interstellar sets, and then you have the 7 heavenly earthen stations. And out of the 7 seven heavenly earthen stations of all the collectives of all individuals and cardinal forms and species and races, you have this whole structure that we're made in the image of, and it has these 7 layers, and these 7 layers come out of the north, which aligns to the center of the galaxy through the interstellar set, from the 7 heavenly earthen stations, from Saturn to Polaris, and Polaris to the center of the galaxy, to all galaxies, to the universal firmament of the golden cherub, to all interuniversal firmaments of infinite infinities of versions and types of infinite infinities, coming out of the unbounded essence of the mind of God and the quantum field of potentiality. And the 7 that it's aligning to come out of the north as Saturn, from the Saturn moon matrix of the 7 heavenly earthen stations of the immovable earth, from the outside to the inside of Orheuser, and then the inside to the outside as or Yasher, and then Orheuser, from the inside to the outside. So the circumventing light and the filling light of this cubit of life, and it comes out of the north, and that which is in the north, Saturn sits fixed as Polaris, and in that whirlwind that comes out of the north is all these circuits that overlap as these other atmospheres or 7 heavenly earthen stations. So in that sense, it's like it spirals and unspirals in and out of itself like a whirlwind, but it sits fixed in itself. So it comes out of the north, and it's and on the northern half of the Saturn is this cube or cubospheres. And that cube sphere or cube is containing the whole structure of the 7 heavenly earthen stations and all that's made in its image. So every other cubit or small face in the vast face, or souls within the oversoul, and in that structure comes out of the whirlwind out of the north. So, and I looked and beheld a whirlwind come out of the north, a great cloud, so endless potentiality, a quantum field of potentiality, and fire enfolding itself, and brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire, also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures. So the 4 worlds that I shared, from the cherubim, the seraphim, the archangels and angels, so the 4 living creatures, and they're symbolized in different ways in this, but this is technically what it's representing, this whole structure. And this was the appearance. They had the likeness of a man, and every one had 4 faces, and every one had 4 wings, and their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass, kind of like stars in the mirror-bound room, like a light in a mirror-bound room, kind of like burnished brass. And they sparkled. And they had the hands of a man under their wings on their 4 sides, and they 4 had their faces and their wings, and their wings were joined one to another. They turned not when they went. They went every one straight forward. So each one is centered in itself like a circle, a lattice of cube spheres or cubits, a light in a mirror-bound room, and it's like a matrix of being, and every circle is in its own center. And it doesn't move because it appears to wave, but in truth, waves don't actually travel. They mirror from wave field to wave field, so they're actually not actually moving. They're moving straight within themselves everywhere, from the outside to the in and the inside to the out, as it spirals and unspirals. So it's moving straight forward in all directions in that essence. So, and for the likeness of their faces, they 4 had the face of a man, the face of a lion on the right side, and they 4 had the face of an ox on the left side, and they 4 also had the face of an eagle. And these are also representative of the 4 sections or seasons of the 12 tribes of Israel, but it represents all of creation. So thus were their faces, and their wings were stretched upward. 2 wings of every one were joined one to another, and 2 covered their bodies. So 2 poles, and also 2 sides, a left and a right that balance. And they went every one straight forward. Whither the spirit was to go, they went. And they turned not when they went, as we already just described the matrix of its structure. As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals, so like cube spheres, but they're burning coals. They're like rainbows, little spectrums in themselves. They copy and repeat like a light in a mirror-bound room endlessly, and they're living light that don't consume itself, so like burning coals of fire. And the likeness of the appearance of lamps, it went up and down, so it spiraled and unspiraled. among the living creatures, so that whole structure. And the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning. So it had a lightning path. It went up and down the sephira as it spiraled and unspiraled, and the living creatures ran and returned. So they spiraled in and unspiraled and met back with itself and kept doing it. They ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning. Now as I beheld the living creatures, behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures with his 4 faces. So that whole structure and the wheel was cradled within the firmament of its own nature. So in that essence, the appearance of the wheels and their work, kind of like the workmen of the mind, like thoughts, words, and deeds, and every bardo and all the gaps of creation, all infinite infinities of versions and types of the infinite infinities of small faces within vast space, is the structure of this qubit. So these wheels, out of the unbounded essence, these self-repeating loops that spiral and unspiral within themselves. So kind of like the wheels within wheels, these are the wheels within wheels of Ezekiel. The appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of a beryl, and they 4 had one likeness. So the one is many, and the many is all that there is. And they don't really go into details. They kind of read this and they express this, and if you interpret it, you can receive this or not. But the interpretation, the more you know, is endless. But it's read and it's concealed to those who don't see. And if you have eyes to see and ears to hear, you're going to hear so much more after I'm sharing and interpreting this. You're going to be like, wow, I can finally see so much more than what it says. It's nothing to be made light of when you finally understand what's actually going on here. But nonetheless, and the 4 had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. So it just kept mirroring and mirroring in a self-repeating feedback loop. When they went upon their 4 sides, so then that structure endlessly repeating as the image of God forever. Infinitely small, meeting back as infinitely large. Infinitely large, meeting back as infinitely small. And it's self-contained and self-repeating out of itself endlessly. So when they went upon their 4 sides, and they turned not when they went. As for their rings, they were so high that, so whole firmaments, they were so high that they were dreadful, and their rings were full of eyes, so like many galaxies within each universal firmament, and many interstellar sets, and 7 heavenly earthen stations of interplanetary layers of each interstellar set, of cardinal forms and species and races, and the collectives of all individuals, and it self-contained all creation. And in that sense, as for their rings, they were so high that they were dreadful, and their rings were full of eyes round about, like stars, like a light in a mirror-bound room. So full of eyes round about them 4, these 4 layers of cherubim, seraphim, archangels, and angels. But also represented symbolically different here, but it's the same thing. If you see it, you'll know. And when the living creatures went, the wheels went by them. And when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. So when you're born in this earth, you blossom. And then when you pass from life to life, between lifetimes as everlasting life, you unfold within the earth and you ascend back up. So then you're lifted back up. So, and when the living creatures went, the wheels went by them. And when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Whithersoever the spirit was to go, they went. Thither was their spirit to go, and the wheels were lifted up over against them. For the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. So all the avatars, us, the collectives of all individuals. So when those went, these went. And when those stood, these stood. And when those were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up over against them. For the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. And the likeness of the firmament upon the heads of the living creature was as the color of a terrible crystal. So like a crystalline sea, kind of like hyper glassy, gel-like, hyper-metallically, fluidically screened lenses that pulsate and breathe as hyperorganisms pulsating by breathing. It was a living creature. So a living creature that was the color of a terrible crystal, like a sea of crystal, a crystal stretched forth over their heads above. And under the firmament were their wings straight, the one toward the other. Every one had 2, which covered on this side, and every one had 2, which covered on that side, their bodies. And when they went, I heard the noise of their wings, like the noise of great water, so many circles. It just kept rushing and rushing forever, as the voice of the Almighty, the voice of speech. So thoughts, words, and deeds, and synesthetic interactions, and they kept rolling all creation within itself. So the voice of speech, the mouth of the lion and the lamb, the word of God and every word that cometh out of it. So the voice of speech as the Almighty, as the noise of an host, so the Lord of hosts. When they stood, they let down their wings, and there was a voice from the firmament that was over their heads when they stood, and had let down their wings. And above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance, so like the thrones and chariots, the Merkavah works and the Hekhalot. So there was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of a sapphire stone, and upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness of the appearance of a man upon it, so the Son of Man. So you have the four worlds, and then you have Adam Kadmon, or the Son of Man, that contains the whole tree that comes in and out of itself, and that Son of Man that is itself, all creation. And I saw the color of amber, and the appearance of fire round about, so that structure round about within it, from the outside to the in and the inside to the out, like a rainbow. From the appearance of his loins, so the seven chakras, also the seven seas and seven continents and the seven layers of the seven heavens and the seven auric shells, but from the loins to the crown. So the loins even upwards, so to the crown, and from the appearance of his loins even downwards. And it just keeps repeating, infinitely small as infinitely large as infinitely small, and it meets back with itself, as the appearance of fire, and it had the brightness round about, and as the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the day of rain, the rainbow, so was the appearance of the brightness round about. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord, and when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard the voice of one that spake.
And that is an absolute trip. The way you're painting this, it's not just a vision, it's like a technical blueprint of the universe. I love the idea, the mirror-bound room, where everything is just repeating and reflecting, making the infinite and the infinitesimal the same thing. It turns that terrible crystal and the wheels full of eyes into this organic, pulsating machine of consciousness. It's like the whole of existence is just one giant breathing organism. We're the cells within it, just trying to find our way back to the center.
Yeah, beautiful. Oh, and we are running out on time, so just to close out this session, everyone, please like and subscribe. Send this to your loved ones. Waken up, share, have better intentions. That being said, this is Arcosm, A-R-C-O-S-M. This is Circles of the Arc YouTube channel, and this is your host, Randall Prosser, and guest host, Miles. Is there any finishing words you would like to close out on with the viewers before we finish this session?
It's been an absolute pleasure. To everyone listening, thanks for riding along with us on this trip. Just remember that the map is there, but the journey is yours. Keep looking inward, stay balanced, and don't be afraid of the mirror. Much love and peace to you all.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely much love and peace to everybody and you. And yeah, shalom. I can't wait till the next one. Peace and love for sure. I love you all and God bless.
I love it. Shalom.